Ready.
This is called by Jesse Wilcox, January 10th, 2005. A glimpse of Vince. My grandfather, Vincent Zoppina, has led an interesting and exciting life. Helping on the farm, trapping muskrats, hunting and playing with brothers, sister, cousins, and friends filled his childhood days. Since he had a love of learning, he found school enjoyable. He majored in agriculture when he entered high school, and after his graduation, my grandfather voluntarily enlisted and served in the Army, which helped America during World War II. Happily, he married his sweetheart, Evelyn Bacala, while on one of his leaves. Life was good. His generation might be called old-fashioned by some. Would you care to visit this era and catch a glimpse of my grandfather's interesting life? My grandfather was born August 31st, 1927 in Burlington, New Jersey. Delivered by his grandmother. He was born in his parents' bedroom, which was not uncustomary in those days. The doctor testified that my great-great-grandmother had done an excellent job, and he did not send a bill. Vince was 1 year old when the Zoppina family moved to Woodstown, New Jersey. When young Vincent Jr. was old enough to do chores, he worked on Jill Brothers' farm, where his father was employed. It was vigorous, tiring work. The fields were watered by a vast network of irrigation lines. Not wanting to waste any precious land, the farmer planted beyond the reach of the pipeline to the very edges of the field. Vince recalls standing in the hot sun for hours on end with a hose, watering the plants on the field ends.
Praying for rain.
Right. Chuckling, he recalls praying fervently for rain.
You got that in there, Jess?
See that? When he had free time, he enjoyed horseback riding, shooting marbles, playing hide-and-go-seek and baseball, hunting and playing with the farm animals. Ordinarily, Vince was a good, obedient son, but the snow and ice held a great temptation for him. And against his father's wishes, for fear the lad would fall through the ice, Vince disobediently slipped away to enjoy skating on occasion. Longingly, Grandpa always looked forward to Christmas. This was a special time for him. The family always selected and chopped down a cedar tree, and Vince's pop would decorate it. That's what we did in our house too in those days. We always, my dad did the same thing. He'd go in the woods, chop down a cedar tree, and be happy with it. We never went out and bought these fancy trees. Because his family was poor, they could not afford many gifts. Vince and his siblings each received one gift and some candy. One special Christmas memory my grandfather has is when he received a wooden train on which he could sit, ride, and steer. Saturday evenings were special. When evening came and all the chores were done, he and his family would often go shopping at a meat market called Banco's. By the way, the last of the Banco's family just passed on. We just went to a funeral, their funeral. A couple.
Remember Lena?
Lena Banco. Vince's dad was like a lion. He was a big meat eater. At Banco's, the butchers would cut the meat to your liking right in front of you. If chicken was on your chopping list, you could take one home live or choose one for the butchers to kill, pluck, and dress while you waited. The Zoppina family then shopped to get the groceries they needed for the next week. Now, since they raised their own chickens, they did not need to purchase eggs. Because the milkman, bread man, and fish man peddled their goods, these items were purchased at the Zoppina's door. And that's a true thing, too. Well, it's always in those days we had an ice man, and all kinds of people.
Fishman.
All kinds of people that would
Every
come to
Friday.
our door. Milkman, whatever. They don't do that anymore. Not homogenized, the milk had a thick layer of pure, rich cream on top, which the family enjoyed. Being a Roman Catholic, the Zoppina family did not eat meat on Fridays, which profited the fishman. Occasionally, Saturday evenings brought the family to Philadelphia, where they bought cheese and meats on South Street and enjoyed visiting the family. By the way, if you were Catholic, you never ate meat on Friday. We never did either. It was a no-no.
All throughout the year, huh?
Hmm?
All year long?
Yeah.
All year long.
Yeah, and then when did the Pope lift that?
Did he lift it? I don't
Yeah,
even
he did lift it.
Did he?
Yeah, so then it was only during Lent.
Okay.
you
You
didn't
sit
have
back, I
to.
can see Krista. Krista,
Yeah.
there you are. I want to see you sometimes. All right, going to school in the small farm community of Woodstown, New Jersey was another part of my grandfather's life that he enjoyed. Vince appreciated and relished his elementary education in a small, two-story Sharptown elementary school which housed kindergarten through 7th grades. Because he loved learning and because he would have a reprieve from the farm, Vince enjoyed going to school. Well, of course, if you went to school, you didn't have to work on the farm, and it was like 7 days a week you had to work. Surprisingly, this school only contained 3 classrooms and a lunchroom. Kindergarten through 2nd grades were taught by one teacher. 3rd through 5th grades were taught by another. 6th and 7th grades were taught by a third. The students had to be mindful of their work and not be distracted when their teacher was working with another grade. So everybody had to be quiet. And that teacher spoke to that grade one at a time. On one occasion, Vince had to recite a poem in front of the class. There was a little turtle that lived on the rocks. He swam in the puddles and he climbed up the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito and he snapped at a flea and he snapped at a minnow and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, caught the flea, caught the minnow, but what? What?
A spider?
No, Mama. What? What?
Didn't catch.
He didn't catch me. We all know that. That was
I hated getting up from class. And I was up there in the back of my seat within a minute, I guess. I just rattled that off. And the thing is, you got such a big audience. I was in 3rd grade. You got to 4th and 5th grade. They're all eyes and looking at you.
Say it as fast as you
Oh,
can.
I
huh?
can't say it.
Oh, come on. Sometimes he says it for me the way he used to. All right, Pop recalls being very nervous because not only would the eyes of his 3rd grade classmates be on him, but also the 4th and 5th grades would be looking on. He sprang from his chair, he sped to the front, he spat out the poem. Like a flash of lightning, Vince flew back to his seat at breakneck speed. Everyone had a good laugh. When he entered Woodstown High School, Vince majored in agriculture. Mr. Lampy was his ag instructor. Vince's training benefited him for life because we continued to enjoy the fruits of Pop-Pop's labor. Generously, he shares the bounty of this grand prolific garden. Graduating from high school in 1945, Vince completed his education. God had a plan for Vincent Zoppina. Upon graduation, Vince drove a produce truck for Jill Brothers Farm. His route included New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. Making a career change in 1947, he worked for the DuPont Company in a plant which produced gunpowder. But just go back a line here. When he drove that truck, that produce truck, through all those places, guess how old he was?
I started at 16, didn't even have a driver's license. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. My dad would even permit me to do that. But Sundays, they used to have about 7, 8 loads of produce going, and they were short on drivers. So I drove. Of course, when you're on a farm, you drive when you're old enough to walk, practically, you know. But I eventually, when I think about it now, if I'd ever had a bad accident or anything like that, it would have been a catastrophe. But
He went through
fortunately, I never
the
did.
tunnels and all of that as time went on. Those were dangerous places to go through at age 16.
Without your license.
Whoa.
Driving a
Anyway,
commercial truck at that, you know.
well, Vince had his first date with Evelyn Bacala in April 1948. They went to a ballroom dancing at the Oasis Dance Hall. And because they continued to enjoy ballroom dancing at the Oasis on Saturday evenings, 54 years later, this is significant. And by the way, we have just, well, since Pop-Up's not been, I'd say the last 6, 7, 8 months, we have not gone dancing anymore because he's got so used to Saturday nights being at home and doing different things that we just haven't gone back. But Betty Barlam and Carmen still go. Anyway, on their second date, Vince asked Evelyn to go study, and she gladly accepted his class ring. And I remember...
Class what?
Ring, class
Class
ring.
yeah.
He left his class ring up on the kitchen cabinet, and I don't know if I was dusting or what, and I found it, and I said, ooh, he's left his ring up here. So I called him, and he said, well, I want you to have it. So I gladly well, I was ready to go study. I knew it was a good thing, and my mom was glad, and everything worked
Mama
out
was.
so well. Yeah, my mom.
Not Papa.
So